Welcome and thank you all for joining us for this special series of the Crexi Podcast, an insider's look at all things commercial real estate. I'm your host, Shanti Ryle, Director of Content at Crexi, and this is the Women of Influence series, delivering next-level insights and expertise live from GlobeSt's Women of Influence conference. And today, we are thrilled to sit down with Deana Marcello. A little bit about our guest. Deana is a third-generation real estate professional and a recognized leader in the commercial real estate industry. She serves as an executive vice president at Colliers, where she focuses on the stabilization and disposition of assets and implementing strategic planning to maximize value for her clients. Deana proudly followed her father's footsteps and developed a passion for real estate through her work. A Rhode Island native, Deana is a 23-year resident of Las Vegas who brings over 13 years of experience specializing in commercial REO, investment, and owner-user sales, as well as representation for national retail tenants and institutional landlords. She began her career at the Las Vegas Development Company, where she perfected her brokerage and development services. She later worked as a senior associate at the Equity Group, where she was responsible for developing several retail projects throughout Las Vegas. Deana served as executive vice president at Logic, where she was responsible for securing some of the largest sale and lease transactions for that company, which I believe is where you were last time we spoke, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That is
a lot of changes.
Long.
Yeah.
I know. Deana obtained her bachelor's in finance from University of Nevada, Las Vegas, is an active CCIM candidate, and a graduate of NAIOP Southern Nevada's Developing Leaders Institute. Deana is greatly involved in the Las Vegas community, and she continues to give back by serving as the chair of the NAIOP Developing Leaders Committee, which helps mold and mentor young professionals in the commercial real estate industry. Deana, so happy to have you back on the Crexi Podcast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to meet in person.
Yes,
because
real life.
last time we chatted, it was during COVID times.
Yep, we were just faces on a screen.
Yep, lockdown, recording on Zoom
Yep.
still back then, which is crazy. So I know we've talked a lot about your career path before, but I'd like to briefly touch on it again. And also, can you update us on what's new in your world? Because it sounds like there's been a lot of changes.
A lot of changes. So moved over to Colliers about a year and a half ago. So that's been super fun and exciting.
Yeah.
But my background in commercial real estate, as you kind of mentioned in my bio, my grandfather was an architect and a real estate developer. And then my father was a real estate developer. It's in the blood.
Yeah,
so
can't escape
it. Thought I was going to go to law school and be a lawyer, but this is where I got pushed into on my own, I guess. So
yeah, you pushed yourself.
Pushed myself into it. Yeah. So but super stoked. It's been great with the changes from Colliers to probably edit.
We'll go back.
But yeah, so some great changes have been going on. We moved over to Colliers, like I mentioned, about a year and a half ago, and that's been going really well. So it's just been super excited and good time. So
yeah. And I guess, kind of picking up where we left off, what have you been working on in the last couple of years? What's different in Las Vegas? What's different with the economy, I guess, because I think last time we spoke, we touched a little bit on note sales and kind of non-performing assets. So can you bring us up to speed? What have you seen going on?
So Vegas is doing really well. We've had a tremendous amount of momentum in our market. We've been hosting some really great worldwide and national events. So we brought F1 to our city last November, and we have a 10-year contract. A lot of construction. I know a few people are still a little bit mad about it, but it has contributed to our economy. So that's been really great. We also hosted the Super Bowl, so that was very exciting. This little Super Bowl thing, and that was very fun, very exciting. It was just really cool to see people kind of congregate in Las Vegas and celebrate football, specifically the Super Bowl, and being able to gamble, because back in the day they said it'll never happen, it'll never work. Here we are. So
sports betting on the Super Bowl.
Yep, and
kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy because it's what we do. It's Vegas.
It's Vegas.
So that's been exciting, and of course our sports teams have been exciting too. So we have the Las Vegas Raiders, of course the Golden Knights, go Knights. We've had that. We've had our WNBA Las Vegas Aces, so that's been fun. And then we also have Major League Baseball coming, and it's going where the Tropicana was. They're taking it down piece by piece.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and then I think their implosion is happening in the next week or so. So that is going,
Wow.
and then we'll have the Las Vegas A's. So super
Oh
exciting.
my gosh, it's busy. It's
Very
busy
busy.
in Vegas. There's a lot going on, it sounds like.
There is, and I think, historically people are like, sports don't really contribute to the economy. It's not really a big deal. You're not going to see that much of a lift. It hasn't been true. It's just caused a tremendous amount of momentum for our city, which has been great. It's helped create more jobs, and so we're super stoked. It's been great. I can't complain.
I love it. And what stuff are you working on in particular? Now, you and your team are at Colliers.
Yep.
What are some exciting projects either you're working on now or maybe you have in the pipeline? You don't have to share too much about those, but
Hey, we're brokers. We're happy to share when
yeah,
we can.
Yeah.
I think the most exciting thing that I have going on right now is working on the Strip. So historically, it's been a little bit challenging to, obviously, our team specializes in retail specifically. And so to be on the Strip, have an amazing developer that we've been working with and bringing some really cool concepts to Las Vegas, I think that's probably the most exciting project that I have right now. It's called 63 City Center, and it's located on Las Vegas Boulevard in Harmon, adjacent to the Cosmopolitan, right in front of Aria. So it is at Main and Main. So Las Vegas Boulevard and Harmon, you couldn't be in a better location. So that's been really exciting. We have about 30,000 square feet there left, and so I've just had a great time working with tenants from all over the world and seeing if they have interest in Vegas, which many of them do.
Absolutely.
So that's been a lot of fun. And then, of course, we still have our investment sale arm. So we're working with owners throughout the country, which is one of the reasons that we came over to Colliers, so we could really leverage our network, work in multiple states with our counterparts in other markets. And so we're doing a lot of investment sales that way. So, from the Strip to throughout the country. Yeah, it's been very exciting.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. And it's very cool to, I've been going to Vegas since I was much smaller than I am now.
Yeah.
And it's really, and you see it much more day to day, but just seeing kind of how much it's grown from a population perspective, from a diversity of things to do there perspective. It used to be just really the casinos and then the shows, but now it's got a whole host. The suburb has flourished like crazy.
Absolutely.
You're doing all these interesting things on the Strip. I feel like retail has gone crazy in Vegas lately.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And what's cool about seeing the Strip is, so I got to Vegas in 1996, and so speaking of population, I think we had less than 1 million at that time. I think So now we're at 3 million plus, and so that's exciting. And then we have 40 million visitors per year on the Strip. So at any given time, we're a packed city, whether you're come down to the suburbs or not. There's just a ton of people. But really what I've seen develop on the Strip outside of gaming is a lot of food and beverage. So for example, the project that I mentioned earlier, we have a celebrity country artist who's opening a bar there in 20,000 square feet. Who shall not be named, but it's 2 more days and I can say his name.
But, maybe we'll talk tomorrow.
Yes, and we'll have a follow-up. But we've even seen Lake Shelton come and do big Old Red right in front of the Horseshoe, which is formerly Bally's. So just really seeing celebrities want to come and get a little piece of Vegas and opening up something. And
Ben
it's
Affleck has his burger place too, right?
Is
it Ben Affleck? No, not Damon.
No. It's Mark Wahlberg. He'd be so upset. So he lives in
We'll
Vegas.
cut that out.
Yeah,
we'll cut that out.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg.
Not Damon burger.
Yeah,
that's what I'd
Vegas.
like to see next. Honestly.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wahlburgers.
Yeah.
Wahlburgers. I should have known it's in the name.
Yep.
But that's super exciting, and that of course brings all of its own brand buzz and people wanting to be a part of that. Ancillary stores. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
And then before I want to get more into kind of women in commercial real estate. You lead a team. You drive a lot of business. You work you said nationally with counterparts in other markets. But kind of before we leave Las Vegas for now, what are your rest of the year, next year, the next 5 years, kind of long-term predictions for your market? And then what is your advice to people who want to get into it and can play in your city?
Sure. So for Vegas, I think there's a lot of momentum. Obviously, cyclically, we're in a weird time in commercial real estate anyway. The market's a little bit weird. There's political influence, being an election year.
Electric
Shock therapy. You need that after this political standing. But so there's a lot happening that I think plays to commercial real estate. However, I still think we have a lot of momentum in Vegas, and I see growth happening over the next couple of years. Even in our suburban market, there's a really high-end luxury development called The Summit. It's bringing in a lot of celebrities, and our tax climate is very attractive. So a lot of people from Southern California and that whole market, they're coming to Vegas. And in fact, they're calling it Hollywood 2.0 in Summerlin, which is one of our suburbs. Because Sony just signed on with Howard Hughes, and they're doing this whole big push to really kind of capture that. And I think that historically, because we don't have a beach and we don't have the Southern California weather, which we're all very much jealous of, but we do have a lot of other things that we can offer. A lot of land. It's very misleading. A lot of our land is owned by the Bureau of Land Management. So when you're flying into Vegas, you're like, oh, we could build something there and build something there. It's mostly mostly owned by the government. So so there's that. But I do see a lot of momentum for Vegas. So to me, I'm betting on Vegas.
Yeah, it's the place to do betting.
It is the place.
Totally makes sense.
So kind of moving more into the topic of the conference, which is women in commercial real estate, lifting other women up. Well, first of all, what are you most excited about being here this week?
Commercial real estate is a male-dominated industry. When I walk into a meeting, it is mostly guys, 99% of the time. So just to network and connect with other women in this profession is something I love to do. I want to see what have you accomplished? What are you working on? How did you get here? I love having those conversations. So that was probably one of the most meaningful parts of attending this event is just I want to meet people. I want to see my peers. I want to see people who have done this longer than me. Some people who are just getting in. I want to kind of meet with everybody. So this is a lot of fun. It's exciting.
Yeah, and I think it's fun too. You gotta love the ones where there's booths and meeting people that way with business cards handing everywhere. But there's something very special I think about this place where it's just learning from each other and connecting and forming those relationships with your counterparts. So
exactly.
Yeah, this is my first time being here, so I'm very, very excited to keep meeting these wonderful women. I get to meet you in person for the first time, which is great. So I want to talk a little bit about, you've been in a position of leadership for quite a while, and I'm curious, what are some of the most important lessons you learned either earlier in your career or maybe even more recently that you think have kind of really helped you affirm your sense of belonging, your confidence, or just have really served you well in your career?
So some important lessons that I've learned is not to say no. For example, I have a very strong fear of public speaking. I don't like it.
Yeah. It's just us.
It's just us, yeah. But what I did realize is just say yes to the things that you'd normally say no. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze. Don't think I'm not smart enough to be there, or I don't have enough confidence to go out and do that or say this or what have you. It's your trade, what you're doing, have the confidence. And if I could talk to myself, 12 years ago, I would tell myself hey, it's okay. If you mess up, if you do something the wrong way, you'll learn from it and you'll move on. So I just think don't overthink things. And if somebody's giving you an opportunity, don't be afraid, just say yes and take it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm curious, do you have any ways that you think you've been able to kind of seek out those opportunities for yourself in the past? Maybe it's just hey, add me onto this meeting, please. Or maybe going to a networking event that maybe you didn't feel like going to, or you're I don't know if I'd really belong here. Can you share some tactical things that maybe younger people in commercial real estate just trying to figure out where they belong, what they want to do, and how to meet people? What would you recommend to them?
So my recommendation is to attend those networking events, but don't be the person that sits in the corner and is oh, okay, I'm here. it's kind of like going to the gym. You could walk into the gym and use none of the equipment and get no results, or you can go there and use the equipment. So if you're going to a networking event, go say hello to someone, go shake their hand, ask them what they do, ask questions and listen. I think that's probably one of the best things that I've learned is you don't have to be talking all the time. Ask people about themselves, ask them how they got there, and really inquire and listen. And I think that's probably the best avenue to really get involved and to meet new people. So for example, when I got into commercial real estate, I joined an organization called NAOP. You've referenced it earlier. And, I went there, I joined a committee, I became a chairperson. It's like I wanted to be involved and start and then and meet people that way. So it's like, don't be shy. Just go say hi.
Yeah, just own it. Just go after it. The worst that'll happen is you have to try again.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, kind of jumping on to the tail end of what you're saying, mentorship, right? So meeting those people, learning more about them, how would you recommend, well, first of all, how has mentorship played a role in your career?
Yeah.
And how would you recommend, either from maybe a younger person, like looking for somebody to learn from, or even like someone who's been in it longer and like wants to give back the way you did by joining these boards or committees? What advice would you give each of those groups, and what are your thoughts on mentorship generally?
Mentorship, I think specifically in what we do, is highly important. In Vegas and Nevada, when you go and get your real estate license, it's, a couple week course, 90 hours, 100 hours, whatever it is, and you're learning about residential the entire time. There is no training for commercial real estate.
Really?
My background being in finance, that's what I got my degree in. So outside of that, you're learning everything on the fly. And so mentoring and not jumping into something and making decisions on something that you might not be educated in yet is very important. I noticed that a lot of young people want to get from A to Z instantaneously. That's just not the way that it works. You really need to be with someone, join a team, ask someone for their time, and then what can you provide that person? Maybe you're more tech savvy. Maybe you can help with their social media content if you're younger and kind of just getting started. There's a lot of things that old brokers have no idea about. So
or don't even think about.
They don't even think about it. So they just learned Zoom in 2020. So come on, So I think
all of us did.
We all did. Yeah, I'm still working on it. But I think it's really important to find a mentor, and I think doing that is who's the best in the field that you want to be in. Like, so if you want to be in retail or you want to be industrial or multifamily, who's the broker out there, or who's the person out there that does the best job, and go after that person. And that person's probably busy, so you need to offer them something. What can you bring to the table to help them out? And I think it's just, like I said, with the technology or something to that effect, there's a lot of things that young people can offer, people who have been in the industry a long time. So I highly recommend that, networking and getting a mentor and realizing you need to bring something to the table to get that.
Yeah, I love what you said about young people having a lot to offer.
They have so much to offer.
I think there is a bit, everyone deals with imposter syndrome, but
course.
especially, I think especially today, to be honest, there's a lot of kind of like, let me go on the internet and try to learn as much about this thing for hours before I send an email to someone to say hi.
Yeah.
There's a lot of analysis paralysis. There's a lot of, I think, fear of no or rejection, or worse, just a non-response.
Yes.
And especially in brokerage. I mean, I'm not in sales, but I hear the sales guys at Crexi every single day, and there's so much no.
Yeah.
But developing that thick skin is essential.
Yep. And learning, and it's, and not saying that there's no opportunity to learn. Like I see some younger people getting into it, and they're like, well, I don't want to do that mentorship program, or I don't want to do that leadership program because I already know it. I mean, I learn something every day, and I still will walk in the room and say, okay, I might not be the smartest person here, but I'm going to learn from everyone in this room. And even my clients that have been doing this, for 30, 40 years, they have something to teach me, and I'm going to listen and I'm going to become better over time by really hearing that. And that's what mentorship is. You're growing all the time. I mean, if you ask anybody in real estate, they're like, yeah, I learn something new every day. You just do. Yeah.
It's part of the job.
Part of the job.
You got to keep at it.
That's right.
And then, kind of winding down on that topic, I want to be mindful of our time. I think we're a little bit over.
Sorry.
No, it's me. I love this conversation.
I'm a big talker. Yeah.
I just want to, hear your thoughts on what do you think the broader commercial real estate sector can do to open up more doors to people who either want to be in the industry but don't know how to get started, or even don't know it's a possible career path for them. What do you, or what initiatives are you working on? If you're working on anything, what are your thoughts on that?
My passion project that I haven't, that's going to be coming in the future, is really getting high school students educated on what commercial real estate is. If you ask high school students, what's real estate? They'll probably say when you buy and sell houses, or whatever. But it's what about buildings, and how did that building get built? And, there's so much in the commercial real estate pool, whether it's construction or financing or brokerage. There's just a lot, and I think it's intimidating to people, but I'd love to start a program that educates kids in high school. That's awesome. So that way they can say, okay, I do want to get into that. And also, a lot of people don't know how to build wealth. I'm not talking about quick money and making a funny TikTok and it goes viral and hopefully you make millions.
I'm an influencer now.
Yeah, I'm doing it. But it's really how do I invest? How do I build wealth, and then how do I maintain it and grow it? And I feel like commercial real estate, learning about that is truly how you can do that. And that's why I got into the industry. I'm I want what that person is doing. And so
it starts with financial literacy and then moves up to really understanding the levers that you can pull or that you should be pulling or thinking about to
exactly. And I think from a corporate or a company standpoint, it's making sure that we're educating the young people. Don't be afraid to have somebody young on your team. I think it's important to open the door for them. Although I mentioned that my dad was in development and my grandfather was in development, they both passed before I ever got to learn anything from them, so to speak. So in that regard, that's why I really believe in giving back education-wise to the youth and saying, hey, this is what you can do. It's an opportunity. You can do it. It's not that complicated. And, you can figure it out. So.
Yeah, I love it. Deana, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad we got to chat.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Where can our listeners reach out to you if they want to get in touch? Maybe once you start this high school program, where can they learn more about it?
I need a lot more mapping on that, but that's the thing that's in the back of my head.
You'll get there.
But you can find me on LinkedIn. So you just search my name, Deana Marcello, or you can find me on Instagram at @CREgirl, and that's my handle.
Love it. Ugh. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
Excited
having
to
me.
see you at the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode of the Women of Influence series, do not miss the next one. Visit www.crexi.com/podcast and sign up to get the next episode delivered straight to your inbox. You can also subscribe to the Crexi Podcast on your favorite podcast app and check out our YouTube channel for video recordings of each episode. Take care and be sure to tune in next time.